Good morning students. Sure Educorp welcomes you all for part 4 video of plant anatomy and plant physiology. Today in this part we are going to see about mitochondria and respiration. So let's get into the lesson. Before that, in the last video we have covered about photosynthesis, how the photosynthesis takes place in plants. A small part has been missed out in that video, which I have covered in this, which is called photosynthesis cycle. We all know that photosynthesis, we have light dependent reaction and light independent reaction. So look at this picture. You have green color disc shaped, which is mentioned as light reactions. No, that picture on the left hand side, that is your thylakoid membranes. So this is your light dependent reaction. In light dependent reaction, the chlorophyll pigments, it takes sunlight and then it takes water from the soil and converts it into ATP and NADPH2. That is what we have seen. And in this light dependent reaction, oxygen is released as a byproduct. And then this converted ATP and NADPH2, they moves to Calvin cycle. That is, we have seen light independent reaction for which light is not required, and it takes place in the stroma of the chloroplast. Now at this stage, carbon dioxide from atmosphere enters the Calvin cycle, and this carbon dioxide gets reduced to glucose or sugar. Now in this Calvin cycle, ADP and NADP plus ions, these get generated as byproducts, and again these will enter the light dependent reaction. These will go to the thylakoid membranes. Along with these ions, these thylakoid membranes, the chlorophyll pigments, they take sunlight and then again it get converted into ATP and NADPH, and they will again move to Calvin cycle. So it's a kind of recycling which is happening in this photosynthesis cycle. We have one question in your book bag, so I thought it would be ideal if I cover this so that you would be able to answer that question in the next parts. Now let's get into mitochondria. A small introduction about mitochondria. Mitochondria are filamentous or granular cytoplasmic organelles, meaning you all know cytoplasm. If we take a cell, there will be a nucleus surrounded by cytoplasm. So mitochondria will be present in the cytoplasm, and it is an organelle. Like chloroplast, mitochondria is also an organelle, and it will be granular structure. Like we have seen all granules, no, like grains, rice, wheat and all, like that kind of granular structure. This mitochondria was discovered by Kolliker in 1857. He discovered this mitochondria as granular structures in striated muscles. Mitochondria are organelles present within eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells means a cell with nucleus. There are certain organisms which do have prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells means a cell without nucleus. But in plants, all cells carry nucleus. So plants, animals generally, they have eukaryotic cells. So mitochondria are present within eukaryotic cells and produce ATP, which form energy currency of the cell. ATP, we have already seen, ATP is adenosine triphosphate. This ATP is the energy of the cell. Here I would like to explain a simple concept. We all know that in photosynthesis, plants synthesize their own food. Glucose got synthesized in photosynthesis. Now this food, glucose, the plant body cannot directly take that food. That food has to again get converted into energy so that the plant body can take that energy and perform its own functions. It's like the same, like how we eat food, that food is not directly assimilated by our organs. Our organs need energy to perform various functions. That energy we get from food. Now, this process of conversion of food into energy by our cells is known as metabolism. That metabolism takes place in animals, humans and plants. So, the process of conversion of food into energy, only then the energy will get absorbed by the different body parts of the plant or animals, and then the various functions can be performed. So that energy is nothing but ATP, and this mitochondria helps in production of this ATP, which we are going to see in detail in this video. Since this mitochondria produce energy ATP, mitochondria is referred to as powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria vary in size from 0.5 micrometers to 2 micrometers. Mitochondria contain 60 to 70% of proteins, 25 to 30% of lipids. Lipids are fats, 5 to 7% of RNA, and small amount of DNA and minerals. So this is the general introduction of mitochondria. Now we are going to see the structure of mitochondria. Just refer to the picture present here. First, we are going to see mitochondrial membranes. Mitochondrial membrane, we have outer membrane. You could see the outer outline, that is your outer membrane. This outer membrane is smooth and freely permeable to most small molecules. Freely permeable means any molecule can easily enter that membrane, can enter as well as come out of that membrane. So it is kind of porous in nature, so any molecule can easily enter and come out of that membrane. This outer membrane contains proteins, lipids and enzymes. It has porin molecules. Porin molecules are proteins which form channels for passage of molecules through it. Through these proteins only all the molecules enter and come out of the mitochondrial membrane. So this is the outer membrane. Next is the inner mitochondrial membrane. You can refer to the diagram. The portion which is next to outer membrane is your inner membrane. This inner membrane, unlike outer membrane, is semi-permeable in nature. That means only few molecules can enter and exit out of the inner membrane of the mitochondria. It is rich in enzymes and carrier proteins. It consists of 80% proteins and 80% proteins and lipids. So this is your inner membrane. Both these membrane is 60 to 70 angstrom thick. Next we are going to see cristae. Cristae are the finger-like projections. You can see the projections, no, that zigzag projections. So this inner membrane give rise to finger-like projections called cristae. These cristae increase the inner surface area of mitochondria to hold variety of enzymes. Meaning, if this is like an oval shape, then the surface area will be less. But since this is folded like finger-like projections, this increases the inner surface area so that it can hold more number of enzymes within it. So that is the meaning for this. Next, we are going to see oxysomes. This inner mitochondrial membrane consists of regularly spaced tennis racket shaped particles known as oxysomes, which is F1 particle. Here they have mentioned F0 F1 complexes, no, that is your oxysomes. They involve in ATP synthesis. This oxysome is involved in the synthesis of ATP. Next, mitochondrial matrix. You can refer to the diagram. They have mentioned matrix which is present within this finger-like projections. This matrix is a complex mixture of proteins and lipids. Matrix contains enzymes for Krebs cycle. So matrix contains enzymes mitochondrial ribosomes, that is 70 RNAs, tRNAs, and mitochondrial DNA. So these are the various parts of your mitochondria. It contains outer membrane, inner membrane, and then cristae, and then ribosomes, and then your mitochondrial matrix, and then DNA, some tRNAs will be present. I have mentioned here the structure of oxysomes, which I have told, that F1 particle, it is thinest racket shaped particle. So you have this F1 and then stalk. So this is the structure of oxysomes. This structure is very easy. They might ask in 2 mark, draw the diagram of structure of oxysome. Important point is oxysome involved in synthesis of ATP. And then functions of mitochondria. Mitochondria is an important organelle for cell respiration. Cell respiration we are going to study in detail. It produces large number of ATP molecules. Hence, mitochondria are called powerhouses of the cell or ATP factory of the cell. Helps cells to maintain normal concentration of calcium ions. So mitochondria maintains normal concentration of calcium ions in cells, and it regulates metabolic activity of the cell. I have explained this metabolic activity, that is the conversion of food into energy by the cells, is known as metabolic activity, and this is controlled by mitochondria. Next we'll see respiration. Respiration in simple terms is breathing. Human beings, we also respire. We breathe like we take oxygen from the atmosphere and exhale carbon dioxide into the environment. So respiration involves in exchange of gases between the organism and environment. Plants also involve in respiration. Plants take oxygen from atmosphere and release carbon dioxide and water vapor. In photosynthesis, plants took carbon dioxide from atmosphere and released oxygen. The same way, in respiration, plants take oxygen from atmosphere and release carbon dioxide and water vapor. This exchange of gases is external respiration, and it is a physical process. So taking off oxygen from atmosphere and releasing carbon dioxide is external respiration. It's a physical process. There is also another process called biochemical process. It occurs within cells where food is oxidized into energy, as I have told now, metabolism. This is called cellular respiration. So there are 2 types of respiration taking part in plants. One is external respiration, that is intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide. The other one is biochemical process, which is called cellular respiration, wherein plants take oxygen into the cells and the food is oxidized into energy. This is called cellular respiration. So there are 2 types of respiration, namely aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. First we'll see aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is a type of cellular respiration. So it's a biochemical process which is taking part inside the cell. Type of cellular respiration in which organic food, that is glucose, which got synthesized during photosynthesis, is completely oxidized with the help of oxygen from the atmosphere into carbon dioxide, water and energy. So below is the equation of aerobic respiration. C6H12O6 is your glucose plus 6 times of oxygen from atmosphere gives 6 times of carbon dioxide, 6 times of water plus ATP. This ATP is your energy which is taken by the plant body for the general functions of the plant. Now, there are 3 stages in this aerobic respiration. We are going to see how this glucose is getting reduced, is getting oxidized to energy. So, let's see elaborately about the different stages involved in aerobic respiration. First one is glycolysis. Glycolysis is nothing but glucose splitting. It is the breakdown of one molecule of glucose into two molecules of pyruvic acid. As we know, one molecule of glucose contains 6 carbons. So this one molecule of glucose gets split into two molecules of pyruvic acid. One molecule of pyruvic acid contains 3 carbons. So 3 plus 3, 6. So one molecule of glucose gets split into two molecules of pyruvic acid. This glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell, and this is the first step in both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Second one is Krebs cycle. This cycle occurs in mitochondria matrix. We have seen mitochondria, the structure of mitochondria. Now you will understand how this mitochondria plays an important role in respiration. Now in the stage of Krebs cycle, this Krebs cycle is happening in mitochondria matrix. At the end of glycolysis, these two molecules of pyruvic acid which got generated by splitting of glucose enters into mitochondria. This oxidation of pyruvic acid into CO2 and water takes place through this cycle. So in this cycle, the pyruvic acid which formed in the glycolysis enters mitochondria matrix, and this pyruvic acid gets oxidized to carbon dioxide and water. This is also called tricarboxylic acid cycle, TCA. Krebs cycle is also called tricarboxylic acid cycle, TCA. Now third stage is electron transport chain. This is accomplished through a system of electron carrier complex. There is some system which carries electrons, so that is electron transport chain, which is located in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So this electron transport chain occurs in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. NADH2 and FADH2 molecules formed during glycolysis and Krebs cycle are oxidized to NAD plus and FAD plus to release energy via electrons. We all know, we studied that in glycolysis, glucose got split into pyruvic acid. Along with that, NADH2 also gets generated as a byproduct, and in Krebs cycle, this pyruvic acid got oxidized to carbon dioxide. Along with that, FADH2 is also generated as a byproduct, and these two molecules formed during glycolysis and Krebs cycle are oxidized or further oxidized to NAD plus and FAD plus ions. These are ions to release energy via electrons. So few electrons are present in this electron transport chain, and these electrons releases energy. The electrons, as they move through the system, release energy which is trapped by ADP to synthesize ATP. As we have seen in the photosynthesis, this ADP and NAD plus ions travel back from the Calvin cycle. The same way, here these NAD plus and FAD plus electrons, when they move through the system, they release the energy, and this energy is getting trapped by ADP to synthesize ATP. So ATP is the energy which can be absorbed by the plant body. So ADP traps these electrons and synthesize ATP, which is called oxidative phosphorylation. In this entire process, oxygen, the ultimate acceptor of electrons, gets reduced to water. So for this aerobic respiration, oxygen is very, very important. Aerobic, air means oxygen. So the name itself implies that this respiration can take place only in the presence of oxygen. In the all three stages, we have seen that oxygen played a major part. Everywhere, all the molecules got oxidized, for which oxygen is required. So this is aerobic respiration. You can also see the pictorial representation. Glycolysis, glucose splits into pyruvic acid. There some ATP is getting generated. And then Krebs cycle. In this Krebs cycle, carbon dioxide is getting generated. We saw that this is called tricarboxylic acid cycle. And then some chemical energy, as we have seen, no, NADH2 and FADH2, these enter electron transport system. This electron transport system oxidizes this NADH2 and FADH2 into NAD plus and FAD plus ions, and these, when they travel through the system, produces energy, and this energy gets trapped by ADP to synthesize ATP, and this ATP is the energy required by the plant body. So in all these reactions, if you see, oxygen is required. So at the final stage, oxygen got reduced to water, H2O. So this is your aerobic respiration. Next one is anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration means without oxygen. So this respiration takes place without oxygen. There are times where plants won't get oxygen. That time what happens is anaerobic respiration takes place. Glucose is converted into ethanol in anaerobic respiration in plants, whereas in some bacteria it gets converted into lactate. So the equation for anaerobic respiration is C6H12O6 gets converted to 2 times of carbon dioxide plus 2 times of C2H5OH. C2H5OH is your ethanol or ethyl alcohol plus energy ATP. So this is your anaerobic respiration. Next topic is respiratory quotient. Respiratory quotient is defined as the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide liberated to volume of oxygen consumed during respiration. So as I have told, during respiration, carbon dioxide is released by the plants and oxygen is consumed by the plants. The ratio of these two will give you respiratory quotient. So with this, we are done with your plant anatomy and plant physiology chapter. I hope you have understood it better. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will definitely clarify your doubts. In the next videos, we are going to cover the book back question. Textbook evaluation is there, no? Book back questions of this chapter, and then I will also post a separate video of how to draw the diagrams in this chapter. Like we have seen many diagrams here, specifically the structure of dipod, monopod, root, stem, leaf, everything. So I will draw and show how to easily draw these structures. So thank you for listening to this audio, students.